Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk claims plans for the $1 billion Gabba Stadium rebuild would be available around Christmas, but they still haven't been made public. Joining me live is Queensland Opposition Leader David Crisafulli. David, good to see you once again. So the state government agreed under the previous Morrison government for a 50-50 funding split, but the Queensland government is saying that they are waiting on the Albanese government to agree, and this is all about Olympic redevelopment. Is that right?
Well, if you remember before the election of a Labor government in Canberra was going to create this land of milk and honey where everybody was happy and would play nicely, and 50-50 funding would be delivered for health and infrastructure and we wouldn't have any arguments. Well, it hasn't. And as a Queenslander who wants to see the Olympics to be a once-in-a-generation opportunity to deliver infrastructure, we are deeply concerned. We're now well into the election of the Albanese government. The state government still hasn't been able to broker a deal to develop an organising committee, effectively a coordination body for infrastructure. And I suspect the reason why is that the state government in Queensland see the Olympics as a vanity exercise, a red carpet, champagne, froth and bubble. That's not what it's about. It's about an opportunity to bring three levels of government together to create a dedicated infrastructure plan to make life better for Queenslanders before, during and after the Games. It's not just about the window of the Games. It's about infrastructure delivery. It's not about a vanity exercise. And what we've seen in the recent weeks and months is that the state government hasn't been able to do that. And we were promised something before the election, and quite frankly, it hasn't eventuated. And I lay the blame squarely at the feet of the Palaszczuk government on this one.
Okay, so Acting Premier Stephen Miles says the Albanese government has been very busy figuring out all the work that they've had to do since coming into office in May last year, and that's why talks haven't happened sooner. But they were elected 6 months before Anastasia Palaszczuk made the comments about the public plan timeline, which was in November. So how do we consolidate that, do you think?
Yeah, well, in November, the Premier said it'd be a matter of weeks. Well, weeks have come and gone and it's now months and we still haven't seen the plan. Look, we need to get everybody together. We need to park egos at the door and we need to have a dedicated infrastructure delivery strategy. And part of that involves who'll pay for it. But the biggest part is planning and delivery. That's what this has got to be about. But it's almost as though the state government's checked out on that idea. It's just not at the forefront of their mind. And the Brisbane Lord Mayor, to his great credit, has said this is something that's keeping him up at night because he is somebody who gets it and he is somebody who understands infrastructure delivery. He does it well. And at the moment, there's just no plan for that. It's haphazard. And Queenslanders are starting to become deeply concerned. Now, I remain adamant that if it's done correctly, the Olympics provide a once-in-a-generation opportunity to deliver things and deliver them well. And I want to see a 20-year tourism vision before, during and after the Games. I want to see an infrastructure delivery strategy. I want to work out how we can get small and family businesses to benefit from it, not just the multinationals. I want to see people right across the state benefit and indeed across the nation.
Okay, can I just ask, at the beginning of November, the Albanese government said that they were awaiting information from the Queensland government, including all the business cases. So which ball is in whose court? Who's waiting on who at the moment?
I think that's the polite way of the Albanese government saying Queensland's got to get a wriggle on and hasn't done what they have said they were going to do. But because of the same political stripes, you're not hearing boo come out of either of them. And in the case of the Deputy Premier, the Deputy Premier today said it's not a delay, it's just a deferral of time. It was one of those classic cases that you thought you were listening to an episode of Yes Minister. Get on with it. Deliver a plan. Get everyone together. Where was the 50-50 funding deal? Let's lock it in and let's deliver infrastructure for everyone.
Speaking of that 50-50 funding deal, the Sydney 2000 Olympics was 8% funded by the federal government, which... Is it a bit rich that the Queensland government is asking other state taxpayers to pay for half?
Not at all. That was the deal going in, and that's the deal that it should be there. And when you talk about those percentages, I'm talking about not the games themselves. I'm talking about the infrastructure to deliver and prepare for the Games. I'm talking about making sure that we have the kind of rail and road network that Queenslanders can be proud of. I'm talking about a tourism infrastructure strategy where we can unlock our natural environment to create world-class tourism that will drive for the nation. That's the sort of things that I'm seeing. Now, the commitment was 50-50. And we're not taking a backward step. And by the way, I was prepared to stand my ground on 50-50 funding, on health, on infrastructure, on Olympics, when there was the blue team in Canberra. I was prepared to do that because I'll always put my state ahead of politics. Now, it was very easy for the Premier to do that when it was easy to attack an LNP government. Now that there's the red team, her team, quiet, silence. You almost don't even hear them talk about 50-50 funding anymore. I'm sorry, but the colour of money that comes out of Canberra should be the only concern, not the colour of the government. Get on with it. Lock it in, deliver the infrastructure, and let's create a once-in-a-generation opportunity for a state that, quite frankly, is growing and needs infrastructure to protect the lifestyle of the people who are here and welcome new people to the best part of the country.
David Crisafulli, appreciate your time as always. Thank you, mate.